Trierside chat. The goal of these hangouts for us is to allow the Roasters Guild to connect with you, our members, and from the comfort of your homes or your roasteries or shops. We just want to be able to answer any questions that come up. So topics that we choose from are questions that you, the members, are asking us, or other issues or kind of hot topics that are happening in our industry. So today's topic is actually a really good one, and we're very excited to talk about it. It is the unification of the SCAE and the SCAA. Please be sure today to tweet your questions to #RoastersGuild, and we will take a look at those at the end of all of our chats. So my name is Adrienne Blasky. I serve as a member at large on the Roasters Guild, the SCAA Roasters Guild Membership and Communications Committee. Today I am joined by 5 amazing panelists from the SCAE and the SCAA. They're going to be discussing a unification timeline, what an expected process is going to look like, as well as providing some perspectives from both members of the SCAE and the SCAA. They will also be sharing some information on the Roasters Guild of Europe and their first ever Roasters Camp. So we're really excited for them to share information on that. Our panelists today are Ellie Hudson, and Ellie is the Director of Professional Development for the SCAA, as well as the Director of Special Projects on the Unification. We also have Sonia Grant, who is from the Guild of the SCAE, Isa Verschragen, I'm sorry, Isa, who is the Guild Manager for the SCAE, Hannah Davies, who is the Guild Coordinator for the SCAE, and also Mary Tully, who is the SCAA Roasters Guild Executive Council Chair. We're hoping that this Trierside chat can help answer some of your questions on unification, especially as this is very new for all of us. We want to encourage our membership to join in on our process, to really be engaged. We're hoping that you guys will be able to ask some questions that'll help us figure out a good path, a good timeline, and really make this unified organization something that is driven by our membership. So at the end of the panels, we're going to do a Q&A session. So again, please tweet your questions to #RoastersGuild. And first, we're going to start with Ellie Hudson. And Ellie is going to talk about the merger process and timeline. So take it away.
Hi, everybody. Hi, RG members from all over the world. Thanks for joining us today. What an honor to be part of this incredible panel of people. So yeah, as Adrienne said, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And then I'll try to do that as quickly as possible so we can get to the exciting presentations from the volunteer leadership and some of the other leadership that are involved with this. So where we are right now is that both of the members of SCAE and SCAA have voted to unify. And this also includes the World Coffee Events Company, which is a 50% owned partnership by each SCAA and SCAE. So the WCE does not have members, but they're part of us. And you know WCE mostly for producing competitions, although that's not all that they do. So in the meantime, we have some of the continued legal requirements that are sometimes referred to as due diligence. This continues, and the expected actual legal closing is anticipated right around the first of the year. So right now we are still operating 3 separate organizations, although we're looking for opportunities to collaborate and kind of start working in that future state that we're all looking forward to. And of course, the transition will happen over time. Even though the members have voted already, we didn't immediately become a merged company or a merged association. We obviously have to do a lot of work to make that happen, and not just between now and the legal closing, but even after legal closing. So it's great because that also gives members, and what does it mean for you, an opportunity for you to connect with your leaders and to give your feedback, what's important to you, what should stay the same, what opportunities you see, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that along the way. And I like to, tell people, like, it's exciting to be a part of history, and a transition or change like this is not something that happens very often. And I think it's really important to see this as the opportunity that it is to really address and build new things and improve value. And that is really the core of the why on this unification, and what we're attempting to do with a smooth transition. The aim is that everything we do that provides value to members will improve or stay the same in terms of member value. There will be opportunities to improve, but we're not talking about trade-offs. Especially with the Guild, this is a unification that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get as strategic as you possibly could, and look at, what might have seemed impossible for the future of the Guilds, and really help your leaders know how to build that, because we have this opportunity right now. Guilds in particular are really the living manifestation of best practices. So the Guilds are people that are out actually doing coffee and representing what the best of the best in the industry and what that really means. And that includes sharing. It includes coming up with new, better ways to do things and innovating. And the infrastructure of the overall association is going to help us to drive resources toward that activity. The new association, the Association for Specialty Coffee, or ASC, is going to be a little bit different in structure than WCE or SCAE or SCAA. It's a pretty innovative and really exciting organization design, emphasis on a decentralized leadership, a flat hierarchical structure. And what this means for the Guilds is that there's access to a lot of different programs in a lot of different places. The organization puts member value at the center. The Guilds are a huge part of that. And we have education, we have standards, we have sustainability, we have research initiatives that we'll be doing. And all of those things have impact for Guild members, and they are also opportunities for Guild members to get involved. And so we see that as really a process, really flowing in both directions. And I think that the key is that all of this works if the member value is there, that continues to attract and grow membership for Guilds and for coffee companies and for individuals. And so we really are looking forward to the opportunity to do that better than we ever have been able to in this new unified organization. Many of you have probably utilized some of the websites and some of the information sessions. Those are going to continue to be updated, provide more information. I mentioned the ASC, I think just because this is something that's still kind of early on in our nomenclature. Those of you that maybe voted in the SCAA election saw it in the proposed bylaws, but you didn't miss anything. There's a whole new brand that will be revealed with much fanfare at a later date, and we know that will be called the Association for Specialty Coffee and the ASC, but we don't really know much beyond that. And I think if you want to learn more information, definitely get involved and get in touch with your leaders. You can always contact me, and just always happy to hear from members. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Adrian.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. That was fantastic. I think this is setting a really good tone for everyone. Again, as we go through, make sure you're tweeting us your questions, because as Hannah said, we really need your input. Or I'm sorry, as Ellie said, we really need your input on this, and it's really going to be the membership that drives the unification process and the value that the organization adds for you as a roaster or as a company. So next up, we've got Sonia Grant. She is going to be talking a little bit about the history of the Roasters Guild for the SCAE. And with that, I will give the mic over to you.
Wow, thank you very much. And so much honored to be in this panel with all these beautiful ladies. And hello to everybody out there. Like Adrian said, my name is Sonia, and I'm here representing the working group for the the Roasters Camp that is going to happen next week. I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we actually came to this point, and then Isa will probably keep on. So we've been 1 year now, almost 1.5 years, speaking to each other, having like 2 or 3 meetings, and I gathered roasters and roasters from different sizes of roasteries, and we came together into a group of 13 people. So it was kind of interesting from Europe, which has like around 33 countries with different focus on different roasters, profiles. So we decided that we needed to do something about this. And of course, with the SCAE, we already had some models, like we had the Barista Camp model, and then we are looking into the Roasters Guild of America, of course. So we decided that we needed to do something for Europe. And at this point, we are here. And next week, we're going to have our first Roasters Camp, which is going to be just amazing. And I was just saying today that to all the members of the working group that it's kind of an interesting process, like you probably all know, to organize events like this and to be in this position. So we're going to look very much forward to see what's going to happen next week. So maybe Isa wants to take over and tell you a little bit about the program.
Shall I just jump right in from there? Okay, I can do that. Thank you, Sonia, for handing it over to me. First of all, I wanted to say as well, way to go to the kick-ass ladies on this call for being representatives of a roasting community that I think is still predominantly male. So I'm really excited that we have an all-female panel on here today representing that community. I'm also really excited to be part of this call. And thank you so much again to Adrian and to the Roasters Guild for inviting me, as well as Sonia and Hannah, to talk a little bit more about the European perspective. So as Adrian said, my name is Isa Verschragen. I'm the guild manager for SCAE, and I've been with SCAE for close to 3 years. Initially starting with them as a volunteer for the Barista Guild of Europe working group, which is our equivalent to your executive council. So I think about a year ago, as Sonia said, I got the exciting news that SCAE would also launch a roaster guild in Europe that I would be involved in too. So I'm really excited to be talking a little bit more about this and about the camp that we have coming up next week. It's the first event of the Roasters Guild of Europe, and it's taking place in Estonia next week from 6th to 8th of October. And while it's called Roaster Camp, I do believe that it's got quite some similarities to Retreat, which is the event of Roasters Guild that you probably all know of or have even attended. And I think the program's really exciting. It's a 3-day event, and the program represents has like 3 blocks that represent our mission as well: education, connectivity, and leadership. So we've got mornings filled with workshops on different topics, hands-on roasting training, sensory, green coffee classes, some elements on business tools such as marketing or giving feedback to your importer. And then our afternoons are filled with a speaker program to provide a little bit more food for thought as well as inspiration. And we'll have sessions on ergonomics, business models, green buying ethics, etc. And then finally, and I think most importantly, camp is a perfect opportunity for roasters, new and old, to connect with each other. And looking at the subscriptions, we've got a really diverse audience. We have people that have just started roasting, that have barely touched a roaster, to people that have roasted for over 10 years. And I think it's a great opportunity for them to build relationships, connect with one another, and share everything there is to learn and to share about the passion that brings them together, roasting coffee. And that kind of brings me to the most important message that I wanted to share with you all today, is that Roaster Guild of Europe is about connecting the community, giving voice to a community of roasting professionals in Europe. And I think that this mission is something that we share with the Roasters Guild. And I think that that shared mission is going to bring us a lot of ground for collaboration. We're after the same thing. No roaster left behind. It's a phrase that I stole from Mary Talley, who will be speaking in this call as well. And she's entirely right about that being the goal, as well as the opportunity for the guilds during this unification process. So how do we get there? Well, I'm not sure. I think we've got a lot of work. Both of the leaderships have a lot of work in exploring how do we engage with every roaster in the world. And there's a lot for us on the European side. I think there's a lot that we can learn from the Roasters Guild, from your successes as well as your failures. And how you spent the last 16 years in doing what we've just started to do here in Europe. So I think that the opportunity, the unification of our parent associations, SCAE and SCAA, brings to us is to explore that goal. How do we reach and serve professionals, coffee roasting professionals across the globe? And for us here in Europe, as Sonia said, the camp is really the first manifestation of the Roasters Guild. It's the first step in that exploration. It's the result of many steps, as Sonia explained a little bit, but it is the first event where people where the community will come together and have the opportunity to share under the umbrella of a guild. And so when I got asked to join this call and talk about the perspective on unification and how unification can impact the guilds and its members, I think I have to say that I'm not sure and I don't know, as I think there's a lot to explore, and also that we need to ask our members. I believe that a guild is really only valuable if it lives and breathes where its members are, if it serves benefits to its members, and if it gives a voice to the community. And in our case, that's the roasting community in Europe. There's really a lot of excitement, and we feel there's a lot of need for opportunities like the camp and like events to come together. But I also believe that a guild is more than just an annual event. So I believe that unification of SCAE and SCAA brings with it a massive opportunity to look at how guilds operate, what the function of a guild is, and how a guild serves its members. And as I said, there's a lot of work for both leaderships to determine how and exactly that will happen and how that will look. Well, we cannot do it without consulting you or without your input and without asking our community all over the world, from a big roaster in New York or a small micro roaster in the middle of nowhere in Estonia. And I think that that goal, to really listen to our members, understanding their differences, whether geographic, cultural, or even business related, that's really the key to a guild, and it's something that will always keep at the heart of what we do. So I'm really excited for next week. We have our first camp coming up, first event of the Roasters Guild, and it's a combination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people, but it's also, more importantly, the first opportunity for us to really engage with the European roasting community, to listen to their needs and to talk about what a guild could do for them. And I'm super excited that Mary, as well as Nolan Dutton, the chair of the education committee at Roasters Guild, as well as Ellie, will all be present joining us at camp to meet our community, to meet the members of the Roasters Guild Working Group, and so that we can start working together on developing the best ways to serve you all. And I think we're going to need a follow-up chat to inform you on how that all went. And that's me.
Thank you so much. We're super excited that you guys are doing your first camp. I definitely agree that we will need a follow-up chat just to see how it goes and how we can all help support each other really and learn from each other's camps. And it sounds like you guys, the speaker afternoons, I was like, I want to go just for that. So I think I'm so excited for you guys. And I have to just say, similar to you, is that we really need your input. So if you're going to the Roasters camp in Estonia, please let your guild coordinators and managers know what you want and what you find value in during this unification. And then kind of as a segue, we're next going to talk to Hannah, who's going to talk about her experience at the Roasters Guild retreat here in the US. So I will hand over the mic to you.
Okay, hi. Yeah, as Adrian said, my name's Hannah. I'm the Guild Coordinator and I work alongside Isa on the Roasters Guild, but also Barista Guild. So yeah, we're really pleased to be invited here, so thank you for that. And I also want to say thanks again to the Roasters Guild for inviting me along to the Roasters Guild retreat in August. It was an amazing opportunity for me to meet the community in America and to be part of this sort of unification process right at the beginning of it. But also a really cool opportunity for me because I'm still quite new in my role for SCAE. I only started in March, so it was my first kind of big international trip to the US to see how things are done there and to meet all of our new colleagues at SCAE. So yeah, I'm still buzzing about it a little bit. So it was great to meet people. It was great to meet all of the names that I'd heard about from SCAA in the past few weeks. You know, lots of meetings have been taking place and people are referring to these names, and now it's great that I know who these people are, I know their faces, I know their positions. It's so exciting that we're all sort of coming together like this. The event was mainly for me a huge learning opportunity because we have our first roaster camp next week. So really just looking at the basics of things like logistics and how the event ran and how the program worked out, but also what was important to the attendees. So what a roaster wants from an event, that was something that was interesting to me. And at the event, I really sort of threw myself into it as an attendee to kind of gain that perspective. I'm not a roaster, but it was a great way for me to learn what they wanted and what worked out for them during the event. And at the end of the event, it was really an honour to be invited to the EC meeting that the Roasters Guild held to be a part of analysing how the event had run and to learn from what had gone well and what maybe hadn't worked out so well, and to be able to share those ideas was like really positive that that me and my colleague Conrad, actually, who was from the Roasters Guild of Europe working group, who was also there, and it just felt like a really open opportunity and really in the spirit of unification that we were invited into this meeting and able to see how the Roasters Guild structure works for the committees, and also to see how you run a meeting. I found really beneficial, and hopefully we'll spend the next few months learning from each other, how we do things, and we'll take all of the best things that we do and we'll come together and be one brilliant guild. And that's it really. Thanks again for inviting me, and I really look forward to offering the same hospitality to Mary and Nolan and Ellie next week.
Thank you so much for that perspective. So happy that a few of our SCAE counterparts were able to come and join us and get to see how we're doing it. And I'm excited to hear back from everyone that goes over, Nolan and Mary and Ellie, just to see what their perspective is at the end of it. So thank you for inviting some of the SCAA folks out to Roaster Camp. So next up, we have Mary Telly speaking, and she's going to provide a little bit of the perspective of the SCAA Roasters Guild, and also coming from the Exec Council Chair perspective. So Mary, I'm going to pass it over.
Hi everybody, and thank you very much. What an honor it is for me to have an opportunity to certainly sit at the table with all the folks on this call. But more than that, it's an opportunity for us to really have a conversation about the Roasters Guild and how the Roasters Guild is working through now what we have as unification, and where do we go from here. And thank you, Isa, for sharing my "No Roaster Left Behind" statement and stealing a little bit of our thunder. But nonetheless, we are absolutely committed to that. And so first of all, from a member perspective and from a small roaster perspective, I'd like to state that what the Guild has done for me from that standpoint has afforded me an opportunity to learn so much about my business, about roasting, about understanding coffee, and about understanding most of the topics that you're actually going to have at your camp. So, so from a perspective of a member, I think subject matter expertise. I also think that there is a fantastic opportunity for us to improve upon the ability to engage members at a local level, right? And so as a small roaster, those things are so important to me, to be able to have world-class access to roasting while I'm sitting at my office in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And for a lot of you folks, if you don't know where that is, it's 2 hours east of New York City and 2 hours north, I'm sorry, 2 hours west of New York City and 2 hours north of Philadelphia. But the point is that I believe in the unification from a member perspective and as a small roaster because of those ideas and that mantra that, yeah, I want the ability to have that world-class expertise. From a volunteer perspective and as the chair of the Roasters Guild, I look at folks like Adrian and all of the other volunteers that are here sitting at the table today, Sonia, and the many others, my colleagues that also sit on the Executive Council, and I see the work that goes into doing exactly what as a member we'd like to see, which is subject matter expertise, which is engagement, which is understanding events and what part of the events work best and how do we make those things affordable. Also, how we make them accessible to the rest of our members, and how do we engage folks that are not members. And so as we walk through this unification, I view it as a series of opportunities as well as an excellent series of challenges that can offer each one of our respective attributes, whether it's you own a business or whether you are a small roaster or whether you roast 2 kilos on your roaster or your batch is 500,000 kilos, wherever you are, that's, we want to be able to engage you at that point. And so specifically, I would ask the existing members and the folks that are listening to this call to reach out and share with us your concerns and how can we address those. From the Roasters Guild perspective, we have had folks engage with our guild from around the world. Now in, I think, 30 some odd countries. The Roasters Guild retreat that Hannah had an opportunity and Conrad had an opportunity to attend, we, I think, had folks there from 30 some odd different countries, which was fantastic. We have now over 780 members of the Roasters Guild. And we had in excess of 300 attendees at our retreat. So what we're recognizing is the need to offer excellent content, excellent events, and specifically engage with all of our members. And what we're finding out is the more we offer highly provocative programs that meet the needs of all roasters of all shapes and sizes, so to speak, we then have an opportunity to move that to the next level and expand upon that throughout throughout the United States, whether we're developing regional access, or throughout Europe, whether we're compounding on what they already have through the Roasters Guild of Europe and through their chapter focus, I think is a work in progress. And while we're not sure of those answers, I think the commitment is on the table for sure that we have the opportunity to take it to where we're engaging all roasters throughout the world, and that we are the Roasters Guild, however it shakes out to be, that we are the voice of coffee roasting professionals globally. And anyway, so that was some of the comments I wanted to share with that. As far as what's on the desk immediately, we are super excited about coming to Estonia. And that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to engaging with some folks that I've already had an opportunity to work with in the past, but also meeting some new friends and understanding their challenges and how I can learn from them and their expertise, and how the Roasters Guild can take what they have to offer and put that into work for all of our members, both in the States and also abroad. So certainly looking forward to that. And I think that we have an opportunity to ask some questions. If anybody would like to go ahead, I'd like to go ahead, Adrian, and see if we can turn up the table open. But before I do that, I just want to acknowledge your work as a member of the Roasters Guild and as on one of our committees that on the membership committee and communications committee. And I know you report to Joe, who I thought I saw in the background there. So if Joe's still there, hello, Joe. But also the dedication that we and I have certainly had an opportunity to enjoy from the members and the rest of the executive council volunteers. Hey, Joe. It really is what makes this all work. And so I wanted to just take some opportunity to thank you for all of your hard work and doing this, as well as Andy, who I think is somewhere in the wings, somewhere in cyber world. But anyway, thank you. And let's go ahead and see if we can open this up to some questions.
All right, thank you so much. If anyone is interested in becoming a volunteer, I love it. I get to chat with members that are all over our country and hopefully now all over the world, and kind of get to be a first point of contact to really welcome them to the guild and get a feel for what's important to our members. And there's a lot of cool things, like we get to create an event like this, the Trierside chats, where we're trying to reach out to you in your home or your shops. So it's been a lot of fun. We have a couple of questions, and please remember #Roasters Guild for any of them that come up for you. One of the questions that came up is there a plan to have one larger Roasters Guild but for the ASCE, or is it going to kind of stay as the two RGs for now?
Do we have an opportunity to know who would like to answer that question? I can take it if you would like. I don't know if there's
Go for it, Mayor.
Okay, great. So thank you for that question. I think that the key word to what you said is for now. And so let's start with immediately what's at hand. And then I think that it'll unfold naturally, as it should. But for now, we have the Roasters Guild, and the Roasters Guild has a lot of projects in the pipeline, a lot of work that we're working on, some fantastic events that are coming down the pike right now. I mean, literally within the next 3 or 4 months. And since the unification, as Ellie alluded to initially, really doesn't take place till January 1 or thereabouts, what we want to do is just be mindful of the fact that we don't want to put everything to a screeching halt and not utilize some of the work that we've already done to keep our programs intact and our classes and our regional events going. So the short answer is that yes, ultimately there'll be one Roasters Guild as we move through the unification throughout next year and years to come. As we matriculate through that cycle, I do see it being as one Roasters Guild. For now, we have the Roasters Guild that is, as everyone has, as understands it to be, has events that we're working on, has committees that we're engaging with. And what we are doing simultaneously is inviting some of the working group folks from the Roasters Guild Executive Council of Europe, Sonia, and some of the other volunteers, as well as some of the staffers such as Isa and maybe Hannah, to then join some of the committees that we have for the Roasters Guild. And for an example, we have, if you don't know this, we have 3 committees. We have the Membership and Communications, we have the Events Committee, and we also have the Education Committee. As Isa stated, Nolan is the chair of the the Education Committee. Jen Apodaca is the chair of the Events Committee, and Joe Morocco is the chair of the Membership and Communications Committee. So the short answer is, again, throughout the course of the next several months, but effective pretty much immediately, some of those folks we would love to be able to invite to participate on some of our working group committees. Likewise, as we uncover next week some needs that need to exist, that maybe perhaps other committees need to be formed or engaged, we can do so at that point in time and add certain things. Clearly, with the Roasters Guild of Europe understanding that they have a lot of needs that maybe we're not addressing that need to be addressed. So I do see ultimately down the road one Roasters Guild, as I think we explained in the unification that it's going to be more of a decentralized type of focus. But at the same time, I do see that ultimately some new entity will evolve to become this new Roasters Guild, if that's even the name of it. So yes, I do see that. So I hope that I was able to answer that question.
Can I add something? So one of the other things, Mary's, that was great. This was really insightful and exciting. And I think, I want to emphasize like Isa said, like we're still figuring it out and we need to hear from our members in order to make the right decisions. But we do know that we're going to have in the new organization a chapter system, and because just in terms of interfacing with local communities, different languages, different cultures, that's absolutely essential. And it will probably not necessarily be how the guilds are shaped exactly, but that the guilds would work within the chapter system in order to work respectfully and have access through those chapters. And so it's we're trying to build an architecture that promotes international collaboration and inclusiveness, and ultimately like uses our resources wisely. So we'll want to definitely have a presence in many places around the world where roasters need to be connected to the guild, but the exact structure of it is not totally clear yet, and we're making a lot of progress on how that works, and not just for the guild for professional roasters, but the guild that would be for baristas, the guild for coffee technicians, and maybe more than that down the road as well.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and add something to that. Thank you both, Mary and Ellie, to answer a bit of this question. I think it's one of the questions that's on the lips of many of our members, and it's something that we get asked a lot on this site as well. Both, I think, for all of the guilds, for the Barista Guild, which has been around in Europe a little bit longer, as well as for the new Roasters Guild. But again, I'll come back to what I said initially. I think it's almost too soon for us to say something on a European perspective there, because we haven't been able to really listen to our community. So the camp will be that first opportunity, and I think it's important that we ask the same question to our members too, and ask them, do you think it's a good idea that there would be one unified Roasters Guild, and then there's local representation? And I think that's an important addition too. If whenever we think about a global guild, which is something that has been talked about with the staff as well as the leadership of both of the associations, I think one thing that always comes up is a local need. Like the roasters are really very different. As Mary has addressed, they can be roasting large batches, small batches. Sonia was talking about different roasting profiles in Europe, different needs, and I think there's always going to be a need for a local representation. And so I think the benefit is that we can create a structure, or that we have this opportunity in front of us, that we can create a structure where we increase the benefits that we have, or that the associations have the opportunity to increase benefits, add value to your membership, and that structure can be global, but with a local representation. Again, it remains to be decided and explored. What is the best way to do this? How will it look? Will this be an overall body with representation from America, Europe, Asia, Australia? Hopefully. But then will it have local opportunities to be involved on a local level with regional groups, maybe working groups in each continent, country, chapter involvement? There's so many things there in the structure that we have to figure out and that we don't know yet. But I think ultimately, yes, there's so much opportunity to learn from each other and to collaborate on this and to create a guild that is really beneficial to all of its members, regardless of where you are and regardless of how big, small you are. So that's our goal. Thank you. Good question.
Thank you so much. It's great to have the input of multiple people on these questions. And I do think that it is good to know that, there's still a lot of unknowns, and make sure that you are letting your roaster guilds know what you want. Kind of along that line, what is the best way for our members to be involved in this unification process? What's the best way for them to make sure their voices are heard? I'm not sure who wants to maybe tackle that one first. Maybe Hannah, do you want to take the SCAE perspective on the best way to make sure that you as a member are involved?
Sure, yeah. I think the best way is to to become a member, to connect with other members through events, to find out how you can be a part of the events. I've been involved with the SCAE for many years just as a volunteer, so I think volunteering at events is a really great way of finding out about what's going on and having your input. If there's a place coming up in a committee, then putting yourself forward for that. Any way that you can speak to the wider group and give your opinion means that you're going to get a better benefit, because you'll have your voice heard then, and you'll be able to have some input and some influence over what's happening with your guild. Go for it, Mary.
Yeah, I think Mary's going to be in next.
Okay, great. So thank you, Hannah. That was great. I would say, from a member perspective of the Roasters Guild, we'd love to hear what you have to say. You can certainly reach out by jumping on to our website or to our blog. You can always, through any social media outlet, pretty much get a hold of us. But I think that, Adrian, I would speak to as a member at large. I think your experience and how you've been able to become involved by offering some opportunity to say, hey, this is what we have, this is where I am, this is how I was able to get involved. And then ultimately, what that has meant and your role and your experience from that. I will share when I first started to become involved with the Roasters Guild, it was initially as a really small roaster, it was kind of intimidating until I had an opportunity to realize I wasn't the only small roaster on the block. And other roasters, shockingly, had the same questions I had, right? And had the same understanding or misunderstanding or didn't understand how to do something when it came to roasting coffee. And the more I began having a conversation with them, the more I realized that, wow, this is really an organization, an opportunity for me to engage and network with other folks. And so that's how I started volunteering. But Adrienne, I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am fortunate enough to work with Joe Morocco here at Cafe Imports. So he really helped provide me an opportunity to say, hey, I think this would be a great committee for you to be on. Fits a lot of things that you're interested in. I love talking to people. I love helping to coordinate different events. So it was a really good fit. I think the other great opportunity is that we have once a month, we do a big call with our committees. And in that call, we address different issues or topics that maybe would be good for us on our committee to look at. So we've even started doing a lot of cross-committee work, so doing membership-driven events and things like that, where we ask our members to host events and we'll give you support on whatever you need. So I think a really great way to make sure that your voice is heard and that you're a part of the process is, reach out to your guilds on social media, reach out to that list of the executive council and ask how you can get involved. Take a look. One thing that I love to do is take a look at the SCAA website and look where maybe there's different volunteer opportunities at events, especially like Expo that's coming up for the SCAA, that's coming up in April. That's just a great way to help teach classes, help to be a part of the competitions if that's of interest to you, or even my favorite part to volunteer is just sitting at the membership booth and talking to people and listening to what they're excited about. We always need volunteers, and I am sure that the SCAE can also speak to that. Just getting involved, sometimes getting yourself out of your comfort zone to just kind of see where there's a need, where your skills and talents can be used, and everyone will listen to your voice, And is there anyone else on the call that has any input for that? All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. It's kind of a very broad topic with unification. We're still in the early stages of it. So, be involved. Talk to your guilds. Talk to your friends. Talk to your coworkers. Because really, the value that all of us get out of this is going to be what we put into it. So we're really excited. Ask questions to your guilds, ask questions to your organizations. Feel free to keep tweeting at #RoastersGuild with any questions, and we'll try to get those answered for you as they come up. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining us that's tuning in. Thank you so much to our panelists. This was really exciting for me to get to be on this call with all of these amazing women that are just doing some great things in their communities.
Yeah, and a special thanks to our European partners who are at a range of time zones between 9:30 and almost midnight right now. So thank you so much for making that sacrifice. There's no other word for it. And I think you can all look forward to Trierside chats being moved to an earlier time in the day in the future. I think that's pretty safe to say, but I really wanted, just in case it's not obvious from their immediate surroundings, our partners have agreed to do this at a very inconvenient time for them. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Definitely thank you to our European panelists and people tuning in. We will definitely be making this a more ASC-friendly Trierside chat forum in the future so that everyone can participate at times that work for everyone. And I think